Good morning, everyone. I'm Jennifer Sugarman. I'm the president and CEO of the Cocoa Beach Regional Chamber of Commerce. Standing behind me is our Young Professional Group Chair, Bill Drexler from Financial Cornerstone Group. And we are so excited to have Financial Cornerstone Group sponsor the YPG meeting this morning. This is our first hybrid experience in 2020, where we have a few of us here in person and then most of us on Zoom. We will be purchasing fancier technology to bring these hybrid experiences to you from the Cocoa Beach Chamber in 2021. So look forward to that, but we are happy that we're able to use what we've got for now, and we have great speakers lined up. And just for networking, I'm going to go ahead and call on people to do a round robin. I'm going to start with the people here in the room first. I'm going to ask them to pull their mask down and project while they're speaking. And then we'll go to the people on Zoom. So thanks for bearing with us while we do this hybrid model, and welcome to YPG. We're really happy you're here, however you decided to join us. So again, Jennifer Sugarman with the Chamber, excited to be here, and I'm going to kick it over to Bill.
Yep. So I'm kind of thinking as a sponsor, so I'm going to actually pass it on.
I'm Anne Lee. I'm with Waste Compliance with Zinco, which is a law firm. Attorney, asset management, tax law, but glad to be here. Welcome, thanks.
Good morning, everyone. Endless Media. We are a production company, and we're fighting for blogs and help partnerships, websites, and people kind of elevating small and private business, their message, ranking people and in the world and in the eyes of their customers. So, very well, Endless Media.
Awesome, thanks, Barry. Okay, I'm going to move on to Diane George. Unmute, Brevard Humane Society.
Thank you, Jen. Good morning to everyone. I'm Diane with the Brevard Humane Society, where we've been helping animals find homes since 1952. So we've got plenty of animals that are looking to join your families. We have thrift shops that could use your donations. We also have beautiful things in our thrift shops. A lot of people come and enjoy what we have at our thrift shops. We've got some fundraisers going on. We actually have an event tomorrow. It's at the Beachside Quality Inn and Suites. You can come, bring your family, bring your dog. It's going to be a cool event. It's called Pause at the Beachside. It's our first real event since all this COVID mess. And it's from 10 to 2 at the Quality, make sure I get the name right. Beachside Quality
Hotel and Suites.
Yes.
It's awesome. Beautifully redone.
Yes. Thank you, Jen. I hope to see everybody there, and thank you so much. It's great to be here. It's my first YPG meeting.
Well, we're glad you're here. The goal of YPG is to bring together everybody, so we love it. Okay, Kristen Colaccio, welcome.
Hi, my name is Kristen Colaccio. I work at L3 Harris. I sit on the United Way board, and I run the Emerging Leaders Committee, and I also sit on the board of Codecraft Foundation, and I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for the invite, Jennifer.
You're welcome. I also sit on the United Way board, and our United Way of Brevard does amazing things. So we're looking forward to YPG partnering with the Emerging Leaders Group in 2021. It's going to be good. All right, yeah. Rosemary, welcome.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm a senior at Barnard College and an intern for the Community Foundation.
I love that. Can't get much younger than that in the YPG. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
I'm still there. Sarah Almond, my love.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Almond. I work for Brevard Public Schools in Government and Community Relations. I work a lot with Partners in Education, which is connecting businesses, nonprofits, community groups, faith-based groups to our schools and their community to provide extra support, and then also to support your mission. And just want to give a huge shout out to Jen and her team at the Chamber. All 4 chambers were really great advocates for us in getting our half-cent sales surtax renewed for another 6 years. Brevard County gave amazing support, over 68% voter approval for that, which is tremendous because we have roofs with holes and buildings that are over 50 years old. So it's kind of hard to hold classes in spaces like that. So just a huge thank you to the community for recognizing that need, and we're good for 6 more years.
Thanks, Sarah. All right, Amanda with St. Francis Reflections.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Amanda Walker with St. Francis Reflections, formerly Hospice of St. Francis. We are the only nonprofit hospice care here in Brevard County, but we do so much more than hospice care. Right now, too, focusing on grief support across the board. We're all feeling it a little bit, so we're definitely a resource you can use for both yourself and your children, because we do offer youth and children's support. You do not have to be on services with us or have had a family member on services with us to utilize our social workers in the grief support department. So we're happy to be here. It's also my first YPG meeting, so thanks for having me.
Welcome. I'm a big proponent for what you do. Skylar with J. Media.
Hi, good morning. I'm sure most of you have already heard me talk about J. So just a little recap. We're a full service marketing agency located in Melbourne, Florida. We can help with any facet of marketing that you're looking for: print media, t-shirts, business cards, websites, anything on the internet. So if you have any questions, please give us a call at J.Media. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly with Space Coast Recovery. Congratulations on the big win this year.
Thank you. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to hear me, but it was an amazing award, and we just have to thank everybody. Space Coast Recovery is such a heartfelt place, and I think I ended up at the right place. It's amazing what they can do with an 80% success rate there. And the thing is, substance abuse is growing even more since COVID. And if you know of anybody who needs help or would like to donate, we'll be there to take it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. We could hear you great. We appreciate that. You do important work, and I agree with you. Now more than ever, we need you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ken Cooper. I've just joined the chamber. I was a member of the chamber about 20 years ago, but I came back, so I'm here again. Anyway, my company is Capstone Commercial. I do provide 4 core services for my clients. Number 1, commercial real estate brokerage. Number 2, high-end business brokerage. Number 3, I also do certified business valuations. I also do certified commercial property appraisals. So I'm available for a lot of different business aspects. A lot of people are buying businesses these days to buy themselves a job. I do the higher end stuff, so most of my sales are businesses that are 500,000 and up. But I am here and available, and I'm doing a special on valuations right now. Business valuations, I'm charging $1,500. My regular price on that is $2,500. And I also do broker price opinions, which are about half the price of a regular real estate appraisal. That's all I got.
Awesome. Welcome back, Kent. We're glad to have you. All right, the Humans Index, Coach Jaya. She's on her walk.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, I'm in beautiful Wickham Park, as you can see. I'm Coach Jaya. I'm Dr. Jaya Prakash. I help you be in the best of health. So if you know anyone who is pre-diabetic, diabetic, or somebody who deals with PCOS or nursing moms who want to get the baby weight off, we use NIH and Johns Hopkins protocol. But most importantly, you get me as a health coach to navigate all the obstacles. And even those who don't want to get those 15 pounds of the holidays, I can help you navigate holidays successfully. So you are not on your treadmill for umpteen number of hours January 1st. So this is Coach Jaya for Health. Just join me and be healthy so you can be there for your family.
Awesome. She is literally walking the walk for what she preaches. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody on here other than our speakers. I think I think I got everybody. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to kick it over to Bill Drexler. Like I said, Financial Cornerstone Group has sponsored this morning, and we're going to be like old Italian grandmothers at the end of this, shoving food down everyone's throat because he brought food. And if you're hungry, come by the chamber. We'll have leftovers. We can just throw it in your car. But anyways, I'm going to introduce Bill Drexler, and then we'll introduce our awesome speakers and get going.
All right. Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm sorry, I'm showing my back too. My name is Bill Drexler. I am a certified financial planner and chartered financial consultant with Financial Cornerstone Group. So Financial Cornerstone Group is a holistic full planning financial planning firm. Obviously, we handle investments and retirement planning, but there's so much more that goes into that. Whether it's college planning, elder care planning. I personally like to work with families that have special needs dependents because there's so many things that go into that where, if you have a special needs child or you have a special needs parent living at home. So that's kind of like my passion project. I also work with Theresa at the, I don't work with her, but I like to refer clients to them. When a charitable giving is in their best interest to do and get into a better financial position tax-wise, or just wanted to get to charity. So that's pretty much it for me. I like to do, I work with estate planning attorneys and CPAs all the time to work with clients so that they have a team. I am the youngest of 8 financial planners at our firm. I'm the millennial, and they give me a hard time for that, but that's okay.
Diane says to project your voice even more. He said he's the youngest financial planner at his firm.
Thank you. I'm just going to have you talk.
Bill is the youngest financial planner at his firm.
There we go. So, yeah, it's been an interesting year for YPG. We had a lot of things that we wanted to get done, but COVID. So I signed on to be the chair for 2021. And we're going to go forward with the hybrids and see what we got. So I guess we can go ahead and start introducing.
Yeah. So to his point, yeah, thank you, Bill, and thanks for sponsoring this morning. And we are going to move forward in 2021 with hybrid. We had originally planned to do a Friendsgiving this month because everyone does Christmas parties and holiday parties, but we thought we'd switch it up with a Friendsgiving. Well, we found that the more people that come around food, the more masks are off in close proximity and all that stuff, and not everyone felt comfortable. So we're going to forego that this year, unfortunately. But in 2021, we're already planning what we could do maybe in a cooler month. Our first meeting will be in February, so maybe something in January around New Year's, and we'll do something outside. But Bill and I have been chomping at the bit to do a happy hour, and we haven't been able to do one. So just stay tuned for more information on that. But I'm going to introduce our speakers this morning. Super important topic, and I'm wanting to know myself, how the heck do we accomplish this in a time like COVID, and how do we keep things moving for important causes and generate some revenue? So our speakers this morning are from the Community Foundation for Brevard. We have Theresa Grimison she is the president and CEO. She does awesome work. And we also have Lisa Davidson, who's the director of strategy and communication. And our topic this morning is Philanthropy Now, facing our future together. And I think that's the only way we're going to move forward into our future is together. So we're super excited to have you here. You can go ahead and share your screen. And if you need my support for anything with your PowerPoint or anything else, let me know. But we are able to see it here in the boardroom on the big television, and hopefully everyone at home can see it. I can see it. So thumbs up, clap, do a reaction. There you go. All right, we're good. So I'm going to introduce you, Theresa. Take it away.
All right, well, let me just, there we go. Always learning every day with this new. And by the way, Jen, thank you for showing us how to do it virtually in this hybrid. I've been wondering myself how we were going to pull that off, kind of early next year for our different meetings. So I'm going to beg, borrow, and steal from you and your good ideas.
Please, that's fine with us.
So everyone, thank you for the introduction, and thank you, Jennifer and Bill and the whole team at the Chamber for making this possible. We're delighted to be with you this morning. I'm Theresa Grimison. You just heard from Jen. I'm here with Lisa Davidson, but also Rosemary DeFrancisi. I have to just give her a shout out, right? We were, one of the silver linings from the whole pandemic is that Rosemary is here home and doing her senior year, at least the first half of it virtually. from New York City, and she reached out and just, said, look, I'd love to plug in, and she's been a wonderful asset for us. So I'm delighted that she can join us this morning, and she's a great member of our community. So nice to introduce her to everybody here. So this morning, and we'll watch the time a bit, both Lisa and I love to share about the Community Foundation. We're passionate about what we do, so we have a tendency to try to tell you everything, but we'll be respectful of everyone's time to scoot at 9:30. But I'll tell you about the Community Foundation, a little bit about our work, how we make it all happen, and then with an emphasis on this year, which, like Jen said, has been a real year of coming together in various ways, and how important that is moving forward. So first, I just want to make a quick distinction, which is we use the word philanthropy quite a bit, and you'll also hear the word charity or charitable giving, and what's the difference, right? The Community Foundation for Brevard does both. But the way we and the industry thinks about the distinction is that charity, fantastic. It's a quick, hands-on response, meeting immediate needs, writing a check, done in a day event kinds of volunteer opportunities, that kind of thing. The Community Foundation for Brevard writes a lot of checks, so we are definitely in that game. But our preference and where we spend more of our time and think is the best place to be is in the world of philanthropy. Philanthropy is a more strategic process of giving. We focus more on root causes of systemic issues. And of course, the outcome is where we're really focused, is we're trying to make the world. And of course, our focus is this community, but it's not, we're not bound just by Brevard, but we're really seeking to make the world a better place for everybody, sustainable for the long term. So let me just, I'll also note that philanthropy is complex. It's influenced by a lot of factors, and we work with many stakeholders to use our influence, to use the assets that we have, and we feel that's it's a must do, right, to exert this transformational change for our world. We are focused really as an entity on addressing inequities that are across the spectrum. We are looking at kind of rips in our social fabric in our community, and we're dedicated to having some hard conversations and driving the change. So, we're always marching forward. We're in this forever. And we also really are blending kind of an intergenerational approach so that we can better take on the challenges that are ahead. So this morning, what we'll do is talk a little bit about the Community Foundation first and kind of what makes us tick. And then Lisa's going to step in so you can hear a different voice just to prompt some conversation and maybe a little back and forth. And then we'll take it from there. So, gosh, between flipping these slides with one computer, there we go. So we've all heard of Gates, MacArthur Foundation, Ford Foundation, right? Those are all foundations, really private foundations that were established with essentially one family's money. And private foundations may make sense in order to do your philanthropy or your charitable giving. They may make sense when you have hundreds of millions of dollars. We are not a private foundation. We actually represent hundreds of individuals and families and businesses that are all dedicated to philanthropy and to the health and vitality of our community. Because we have lots of people involved with us, we're actually classified as a public charity. So, as Bill knows, as a financial planner and investment advisor, that's a big difference for someone who is not only seeking to make the world a better place, but also may be interested in gaining some kind of tax deduction or some other financial goal. Makes a big difference between being a private foundation and a public charity. So we are governed by a volunteer board of directors, just like any nonprofit. We're 39 years old right now. I wish I was too, but we'll be 40 next year. And over the last decade, we've really been picking up speed. So we've granted more than $20 million out into the community. Again, most of that in the last 10 years. We've doubled in capacity over the last 3 years. So the good news is that we're gaining speed, and what this is all about is having this big impact on our community. We are one of hundreds of community foundations across the country, and we're all similar in some ways, but we're all separate entities. We're all our own individually governed organizations, and people often think of community foundations as grant makers, right? And also think about us as a kind of a good housekeeping seal of approval for different nonprofit organizations. And, you know, it's lovely to see Diane here on our call this morning. And, you know, we're proud to partner with wonderful organizations like the Humane Society. So that's kind of what, you know, people have, I think, in their mind for us a lot. But what makes us come alive, and I think more special than just kind of an institutional funder, is all of the people that make us tick and are, you know, in many cases behind the scenes, some who are a little bit more out in front. And you'll see on the bottom of the slide some pictures of folks who are involved with us. It's just a smattering, all generous, all visionary. And what we're helping them do, right, is realize their philanthropic vision. And we help maximize their efforts by aligning them and their interests with the interests also of others who may have some similar goals. And then, of course, helping to inform them of what are the critical needs here and how does that intersect with their interests. So often they're setting up funds in their own names, in fact, most often, and then we provide, you know, comprehensive support for them behind the scenes. So in addition to that, which is a big part of what we do and probably takes, I wouldn't say most of our time, but a good chunk, we have a real capability to draw people together in a neutral, kind of intersectional way so that we can engage in civic leadership work. And we'll get into more about that. But what we like to think about our work is that, you know, we kind of think about it as an event diagram. And of course, I've got that here as we move through, but we're overlapping passion, what people care about most, with the discipline of what we do. And so kind of day in and day out, we live in that world. We think about it as the heart and science of philanthropy. So I'm just going to share with you a quick shot here of what we look like out in the wild. You know, a wonderful, wonderful group of people. Everyone, for the most part, looks like someone who would be your next door neighbor. You know, people just like us, everyone here in this room and on the Zoom looks the same, right? But I will say that most of the time I describe these people who are invested so much in the health of our community as entrepreneurial, lifelong learners dedicated to the health and vitality forever. So this kind of gives you a sense of who we are, and the pictures, which you can't tell this, but represent a little bit of the cyclical nature of our year. We're bringing people together, I mean, right now, obviously via Zoom, but through our competitive grant program, through scholarship, programming, medical research. We hold briefings where we convene other funders so that folks can know and more easily access capital that they can deploy. And then, of course, we do some special, you know, private programming where we visit exceptional nonprofit groups and kind of get a behind the scenes. We curate some really important conversations. One of these pictures represents a conversation we had around increasing gender diversity in the STEM fields about a year ago. And, you know, so this is a little bit of our public face. But again, we're behind the scenes privately engaging with our fund holders, but also with decision makers and other influencers throughout our community. We really believe that's the way we drive change. Now, for us, you don't have to be Rockefeller or Gates to be involved. Everyone can be a philanthropist, and actually, Bill is a wonderful person to talk to about that. But you know, folks we are equipped to accept a lot of more complicated gifts of assets, whether that's real estate or required minimum distributions from IRAs, through QCD. We work with folks who want to include us in their estate plans or their wills for after their life. They want to make sure that the wealth that they've accumulated really continues to go on, usually most often in their names forever. So that's, you know, not to get too much into the detail of how it all works. That's just a little taste. So next, what we also talk about is that we are always driving conversation around fundamental questions that address the broadest spectrum of life, right? How can I have a meaningful life? Who do I want to be for others? Again, what will be my legacy? So we have a customized approach, a lot of tools where we really dive deeply in with people about what their values are, what are the issues they want to tackle. Do they, and this is, we're very well equipped to do this, but do you want to take a systems approach versus a direct impact approach in realizing the change? So no matter what, as any of us, right, say, how can I deploy my time, my talent, my treasure? You want to be in the middle of this Venn diagram where you're addressing what do you care about, because you know the passion is what's going to keep you going. What does the world need? You can't do something that, you know, if you go down the road and do something that frankly the world doesn't need, no one else is going to be interested. And then what can I do? So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my pal Lisa to start a conversation a bit about what motivates you to be philanthropic. And we hope you'll chime in.
Great, thanks Theresa. Good morning, everybody. So Theresa shared a little bit about the Community Foundation and our role in philanthropy. And now we want to turn it over to you. So as young professionals, specifically the millennial generation, you're the largest living generation. One study even projected the generation to make up nearly 50% of the workforce this year. So in addition to that, millennials will be on the receiving end of a projected $30 trillion wealth transfer that's already underway. So young professionals' engagement in philanthropy matters now and for our future. However, when Theresa and I talk in terms of philanthropy, it can take on many forms. So not just, a lot of people think about philanthropy as a transfer of financial, but we talk about it in time, talent, treasures, and I would include your voice in that this year. There's so much, advocacy is just so important, and it's just another vital tool in your philanthropic tool belt. So as we talk about, you know, what motivates you to be philanthropic, you know, think of it as not just financially, but with time, your talents, and your treasure. So as I share some of the common, you know, answers to this question, I would ask you to kind of think about what motivates you personally to be philanthropic. So for many, it's the ability to see outcomes. Being in a community with a large high-tech workforce, data and clear outcomes is important for many. For others, they want to be more hands-on when they're being philanthropic. And that can mean being part of organization's board. And as professionals, your skills and services are really in high demand by nonprofits. You know, so thinking through that, it's also a great development opportunity to experience board service. Also, for most of us, personal experiences play a key role in our philanthropic choices. We are motivated by many things: our educational experiences, the community that we were raised in, our gender, ethnicity, religion, family, or even personal experiences. So perhaps there's an organization that made a difference in your life, or a family member, or even a friend, or maybe you've been helped by someone's generosity. For example, you know, who here in the group has received an educational scholarship while you were going to school? If you did, then more than likely you were touched by someone else's generosity. So now we want to hear from you, from a few of you, on what motivates you to be philanthropic. Was it a key life event, or, you know, thinking through some of these examples that we've used? What motivates you? If you want to share, unmute.
I'll start. It's Jen.
Great.
I've been thinking about this as you've been presenting. So I was blessed to have really hardworking parents that provided me with a great upbringing and a middle-class home in Atlanta, Georgia. But I was also blessed to have parents that were very clear with me that this is not where they came from, and to show me how the other half lives. And so from a very young age, as a toddler, I was in soup kitchens in downtown Atlanta. I was around people that have AIDS. I was feeding the homeless. And so I got a really good holistic view of what it means to be philanthropic and to really help uplift a community, because it's all of our jobs. And so I'll say I'll now transfer to where I am now, and in Brevard, and in a community that I love and care about so much. And being on that United Way board, for me, when you say that first box where you can see clear outcomes of my donation, one of the reasons I give to United Way is, number one, it's kind of a one-stop shop. It touches so many different organizations, and I can kind of spread my tiny millennial dollars out thinner. And I look forward to that transfer of wealth. I'll keep waiting for it. But clear outcomes of my donation, I've been fortunate enough to go on site tours and see some of these organizations, and I've been able to see, you know, what people have and what they come into some of these shelters with, and it's just a couple pairs of shoes. And I see a child's book bag, and being a newish mom of an almost 4-year-old, that hurts. You know, I'm watching someone who's there in a shelter, and that's literally all they have. And so for me, when I get to see those stories of people that came through and where they are now, and our donations help these organizations get them to where they are, that's been really key for me. So the first box is what resonates the most with me from a philanthropic standpoint.
Great, Jen. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else wanna chime in and share?
I think sorry, go ahead.
You go ahead first, I'll go after.
Sure, this is Sarah Almond. I get a pretty real inside look, I guess, for children in our area. One of my big passions that I work towards at the district is a group called Students in Transition. And those are our students that are homeless. So these are students that are, they could be housed up with another family. They could be living in Wickham Park. We have unaccompanied students in transition as well, which these are students without parents. So it gives you a real kind of look behind the scenes of things that are happening in our county. So I think that's like a personal experience motivation to give, and similar experiences to Jen as well. For most of my 20s, I was actually a support raised missionary. So I couldn't live without the generosity of other people. I had to rely on them to feed, clothe, do all of that myself. That was my choice to do that. But that experience took me to third world countries where I experienced poverty on a completely different level. Now being back in the United States and working here for our school district, it's been incredibly eye-opening to me to see not a lot of the same, but some similar situations that you see in places that are third world. I can identify that in some pockets in Brevard. And an uplifting part is to see how many resources are available here. That's been incredibly motivating and exciting to be a community relations specialist and identify closely with the need, but also understand the amount of generosity that lives in Brevard and people that want to make that connection.
Great.
You want me? Yeah, go ahead. Very well. I connect with number 3 there in green, personal connection, and I kind of mirror what Jen said. You know, you connect and you see it firsthand. It's a big deal. You go through lots of times these Target or different stores will say round up and donate, and it's like, oh, where does the money go? And you hear the horror stories of like 80% is going to administration, and marketing, and 20% is going to the cause. And, you know, so I relate to things where I can see the dollars translate directly to the cause. And I know that for every dollar, 90 cents is going to go to the cause or whatever. You know, and then I also relate to the book by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, and it talks about kind of the value of when you give to a community, what you give back as an individual. And if no one's ever read that book, they should. He was a survivor of the Holocaust and a psychologist, which is a great view on what it takes to go through hard times, which we're in right now. And often it's by giving back, not by looking out for yourself. And that's another big piece. So those two would be my contributing factors to kind of philanthropy.
Jaya had her hand up. I think she raised her hand.
Yeah, this is Jaya. I just want to give a quick perspective. I was raised in India, and while we were well off, we had poverty around us. But one of the most impactful thing as a kid in the school, we had to wear uniforms. And I had a classmate who could not afford more than one set of uniforms. So once I noticed during monsoon, she was wearing wet clothes because they wouldn't dry. She used to wash it every day and then wear it the next day, that kind of thing. I told my parents, and we were able to anonymously, without making them feel bad, donate clothes for her for the rest of the schooling. And today she is a thriving pediatrician, and she is so much engaged into the community. She gives back a lot. So there is a multiplier effect. And that's what brought me to Kiwanis. I'm president of Kiwanis of Melbourne, because when you impact a child, you impact a universe. And I got a firsthand experience of that. That is what, and education is the biggest driver of all. So I thought I would share that. That's what drives me. I want to not to just support the daily needs, which are extremely important, but also want to make it possible for them to educate themselves, uplift themselves, and then impact community even more for the generations to come.
That's wonderful. Lisa, I don't want to jump in on you.
No, go ahead.
Okay, great. Well, that's wonderful to hear everyone's perspective. And I'm eyeballing that we've got 9:25, so I'm going to whiz through just a little bit. But I want to just react to a couple of points that folks made. One, with Sarah, I agree with you. I think one of the wonderful things about being here in Brevard is that our issues and challenges are human scale. We can all make a difference. We can all solve these problems. It's not overwhelming. Secondly, and I think this touches a little bit too on what Jaya has said, is, when we address issues like ensuring that everyone has an equal opportunity moving forward, we're expanding our workforce, right? So it doesn't matter which angle that you come from this, it makes sense, whether it's from a business perspective or it comes from an ethical, moral place for someone, it makes sense, and it's not just handing out. I'd like to just give you a quick view of some of the unique individuals that are behind the Community Foundation and a little bit of what kind of work that they're doing. And first, just to give a shout out to our, recent, let me shift this here, fund, which is the Drexler Family Fund. Bill joined us a year ago. He talks the talk and walks the walk. And his fund helps vulnerable children to live in loving, nurturing families and making sure that they have a bright future as well. And then I'm going to pretty quickly skim through this. This just gives you a sense of some of the folks who are behind us. Paul and Shirley Friedland, wonderful folks who cared very much about funding innovative cancer research for up and coming PhD students, among other things. They've funded thousands of children to be able to be exposed to classical music in a more formal way. They're also teaming up with Keith and Carrie Donald, who started their Brevard Impact Fund. They're making transformational, innovative plays to support workforce and supported housing, social justice work, and racial equity. And between the Friedlands and the Donalds, they're all coming together to really focus their philanthropy, and they're going to change lives for generations. It's unbelievable. really quickly shot because they're super cute. We've got folks who are really dedicated to the environment, to animals, but also with the Missy and Tony Shannon Memorial Scholarship, elevating human lives so that systemically, you know, we can be addressing overpopulation of animals and, you know, making sure that they live better lives as well. And as Gandhi said, the greatness of a nation can be judged by the way its animals are treated. And the man behind this, Michael Shannon, truly makes that come to life. Lastly, I do want to quickly tell you that a couple of years ago, an anonymous donor established the Brevard Relief Fund with the Community Foundation. In March of this year, that was pivotal. We were able to quickly activate the Brevard Relief Fund to respond to the coronavirus and the pandemic affecting Brevard. We reached out to the United Way of Brevard and also Space Coast Health Foundation. We all agreed this is bigger than all of us. Let's work together to make things happen, make sure that we're communicating so that we can have the biggest impact together. So with that, the Community Foundation started getting cash out right away in like the first week of April to groups that we knew were right there on the front lines. And so we've leveraged about $230,000 alone through the Community Foundation, and we've got more in the tank. So that's going to be pulsed out together. And that's why, you know, what we emphasize over and over is by collaborating, stepping out of your own little box to make sure that you're working with others. It can be difficult. You can have some tough conversations, but by doing that and living that and walking that walk ourselves, we were able to leverage more than $1 million back into the community with United Way, Space Coast Health, and us. We're really happy about that. And I think we were intending to talk a little bit about how has your philanthropy perhaps shifted through this year. I don't know if we have any time. Or do we? Because I thought we were at hard stop at 9:30, but if we can take a few extra minutes.
If people have to leave, they're certainly welcome to, but I mean, we're recording and we want to make sure we capture all the conversation we can for people that can stay, so.
Okay, well, I'll take more proactive deep breaths here, but I'll turn it over to Lisa to let her take it away.
Great, Theresa, thank you. So we wanted to shift a little bit. Theresa shared a little bit about the impact and our role with COVID-19 and the pandemic this year, and it's changed all of our lives. And so many in our community are rethinking the way they've spent money during the pandemic. You know, some are cutting back on non-essentials. Others have been forced to cut back on necessary purchases, like even food. So even in trying times such as these, recent data has revealed that almost 75% of young professionals or millennials have donated financially during the pandemic. And that may look a little different than it has, you know, in the past. Specifically, they've offered financial aid to friends or families members who are in need, or, you know, they've also donated financially to charity. So in fact, millennials on a percentage basis have been the most generous of any age group during the pandemic, based on a recent survey. And that's really a nice thing to hear at a time when there's so much negative news going on, that many people are coming together, and that's been so important. That being said, since the pandemic, giving back has changed. And there are ways to be generous outside of financial contributions, or even outside of giving to nonprofits. So we wanted you to kind of think a little broader into that. And I'm sure you all have done this as well, but you know, also thinking about how it's changed is supporting a restaurant or local small business by either giving them your business or purchasing gift cards and giving them to friends. But, you know, right now our small businesses need, you know, our support in the community. You know, offering to watch a neighbor or family member's child so they can maybe, you know, get some extra hours at work. Collecting food supplies for local food banks. You know, the list is endless of things that, you know, we could all be doing right now, and how things have shifted since the pandemic. So I'd be interested to hear if there's any ways that your philanthropy may have changed in 2020. Did it shift? Has it stayed the same? And I will throw it out to the attendees for that.
Mine shifted. So poor United Way, they sent me invoice after invoice and they're like, are you going to support this year? And I was kind of waiting to see, quite frankly, if my salary was going to get cut. I had to lay off half of my staff in March, which was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. So there was a lot of uncertainty, just like all of us were feeling at the time. And so I kind of held for a while. And then when I realized how things were going to go, I just took a leap of faith and I said, you know what, I'm going to actually double what I'm going to give to United Way from the previous year because I didn't get cut. And so that's my way of being like, okay, you know what, now I can do more. And so I think my philanthropy really changed from not just monetary, but my time. So making sure that, God forbid, if a friend's husband had open heart surgery, that I was bringing food. Or if I have a friend with cancer, I'm making sure I'm sending care packages during chemo. And then just from a local level, making sure I'm still getting out there and I'm picking up trash because like all the cleanups are canceled, you know? So anything that I can do from a small level, it's certainly been more top of mind for me than it's ever been before because people are without work right now. They're struggling. I have the unique position professionally, it's both a blessing and a curse, but professionally to get a lot of these phone calls from small businesses that aren't making it. So that's my passion right now. And I know I speak for all the chambers in the county. We've really come together and kind of formed that Brevard Business Community COVID-19 response team. And we have advocated with the county for grant funding for small businesses. And I'm lucky that my other half, who owns a small business, runs a video game store, which during the shutdown skyrocketed in sales. So we're doing all right. But I have seen firsthand the devastation of these businesses closing and people not knowing what resources are out there for them. So that's kind of how I've shifted. I've been more boots on the ground, literally going and knocking on doors and saying, do you know the resources that are available to you? We have plenty of businesses, unfortunately, that have closed. You know, we're a very large chamber, about 1,500 businesses. We're now down to about 1,300, but, you know, just daily working on how can we help these businesses stay and get the resources they need. And I've seen an incredible wave of support from our community to support local and to shop local. And that's actually what the chamber's mission is this month, is to our next All Around the Space Coast event is going to be all about supporting local businesses and shopping local. And you've already outlined all the ways, not all of them, but a lot of the ways that people have been doing that with the gift cards and the curbside and everything else. And I think we just need to see that continue, especially given that it looks like we have a new administration taking over and there might be different degrees of tightening up of policies or shutdowns or this and that, depending on what the virus does. So I think we just have to remain vigilant and really think outside the box of how we can support these small businesses no matter what happens.
Great, Jen. Think that's all great information. And I think people have, especially I think worldwide and across the country, but especially here in Brevard, we've always been a community that comes together in times of need. So, you know, I think it's just that thinking outside the box and what we're accomplishing together. But based on the time, I'm going to throw it back to Theresa to close this out.
Thanks, Lisa. You know, I think, and we're so fortunate to have United Way, which is such a force for our community and has been for so long. Just to make a distinction with the Community Foundation a little bit is we do have kind of pooled funds, which is how United Way does most of their grant making through pooled funds. But where the distinction is, and we get asked this quite a bit, is our focus on the individual philanthropist and their visions and facilitating that work. So if you have any questions about that and kind of the differences, I'm happy and available at any time, as is Lisa, to share. But beyond our 100 or plus funds that are specialized and named, we also dive into different kinds of civic leadership work. Again, I've mentioned we've established an equity and inclusion fund, and we're really looking forward to driving that forward in the coming year, but also stepping in to address some real gaps in terms of our arts and culture here in the community, as well as education, of course, is just absolutely critical. So I'm gonna, and I will say, as you're thinking, I want to ping a little bit off of the gentleman who's in the room who made a comment about, overhead and that kind of thing. It's really important for philanthropists to understand the organizations that they're giving to, but a 10% overhead rate for one group is going to be drastically under capitalized for another one. And you have to kind of keep an open mind about that. And one thing that we're doing as a funder is really saying, not only is it programmed, this program has to be smart. The humans who are driving it are worth our funding, right? No one's questioning the engineers at Apple when you buy your iPhone. Well, how much of that am I paying in overhead? Because I don't want to pay for that guy's salary. No one's asking that question. So I challenge everyone to think about it as you're looking to make contributions into the world, to realize that there are professionals who are driving that change, just like Sarah, was supported for, doing the work that she did by others. They knew that that's what they were investing in for the change that they wanted to see. So I'm going to close out by, just like Lisa said, to ask yourself, what do you value? What does the world need? What can I do? Because when you end up living through your work, through your philanthropy, through your friends and family, right in the middle of this Venn diagram, you will achieve tremendous amounts for yourself and for others. You're going to inspire people. You're ultimately building a legacy that will last forever. So again, thank you so much for letting us be here with you this morning. I realize I've got a 10 o'clock that I actually have to travel to. So I have a bit of a hard stop in like 2 minutes, but happy to answer any questions that you all might have.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Great presentation. We have 2 minutes for questions. And then if you want to stick around, I want to impromptu, Bill and I want to pick your brains about next year's YPG. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. And then if anyone has any questions for Theresa before she has to take off, please unmute and ask them. And thank you so much for being here.